oldie.
Oh yeah.
So like I watched the video because like I was just like, yo, like this is like one of the like the best, like the most iconic times. Like all of them are they're all together.
10-minute posse cut.
Yeah. Terry Richardson, the Nasty Man, is there. Being a photographer and everything like that, right? But like they're all just like spitting, and I want to know who you think has some of the best verses on
I think so. Frank gets the most attention because it's so subtle. It's like, it's a given. It's a given. Sipping his juice, right? Looking at his watch, iconic. Yeah. But Domo went off too. Domo went crazy.
Domo Genesis went crazy.
And Earl went nuts.
I think
Earl went crazy.
Earl has the best verse, but my favorite verse is Tyler's verse to end it.
Oh, that ends it off?
Because he's breaking down like how our future got started and shit. Yeah. And I was like, yo, this is dope. And it's like, because they have the track playing in the background. Mm-hmm. Everybody like obviously knows their verses and they're just like performing. They're like, wait a second. And then like they just jump into it. I was like, yo, this is fucking swaggy. It's
fucking dope. And I wish, obviously I'm cool with how shit played out now because we get them in off branches and we get to see what they're doing individually in their own way. But them as a collective, I wonder what that would even look like now if they was to do some shit now.
Bro, I think you wanna know what's funny? As difficult as like Wu-Tang is portrayed, the fact that they could still like tour sometimes is impressive as hell to me. I think getting all those motherfuckers for our future together would be the hardest thing ever. That would be very
tough. If I could just get 5 of them, to do some shit together, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, like I just think that like because I think like they've reached heights higher than, and I'm not saying they're bigger. I'm just saying like a lot of Wu-Tang members say they didn't get what they deserved financially. Yeah. A lot of our future members have like exceeded expectations of like what they want to do with like a lot less because they were affiliated with it, right? So I think a lot of them like have demands and they're just like, I'm not doing that. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I think it's so much harder to get them. But as long
as they're in a good spot, as far as like with each other, then anything can happen.
Yeah, because I think they're like all of them are like cool, but it's just like like they were like, this is what we did when we was kids. We're not kids anymore.
Yeah. But I would just love to see the mature version of that. Like, and you mentioned Tyler has his festival. Shit, he could close it out with a bang,
bro.
He could just have them all come out
and perform oldie.
Yeah, man. He could just have them all come out. Like maybe 3-4 of them. I'm not asking for much. Right. Welcome to Rap in Order, the interrogation of a hip-hop album, where we take some of the culture's most beloved hip-hop albums, put them on the stand, see if they stood the test of time. Now let's see who we got on the stand today. Welcome to another episode of Rap in Order. I'm First Class Reg.
I'm Taurian B.
And today, we're here to get into this album is, I was really excited when you named this, because I didn't listen to this in real time.
Okay.
So, I knew about Domo Genesis, obviously, but I didn't really get into his shit because, he's from the Odd Future fame, if you guys don't know. Mm-hmm. And so in Odd Future, you kind of have names that came up way before Domo Genesis would come up. Mm-hmm. You obviously had Tyler, you had Frank, you had Earl, you had all these people in the mix, in the fold, and the people that they would work with that would come up before Domo Genesis will come up. People will bring up Vince Staples before they brought up Domo Genesis.
Right, and Vince isn't really...
Yeah, and he's not OF, So he was kind of just on the back burner. I know he had released a project called Rolling Papers maybe 2 years before this project that we're getting into. And that one was like, people was like, I don't really know. Like, we see the potential, whatever. But then No Idols came out, and he paired himself with Alchemist, and there was more emphasis on his bars and on his rapping, and I think the production really brought that out, which you guys have come to know. how good Alchemist is at that. Like Alchemist is really good at bringing this out of the rappers. Whatever it is that they're trying to tap into, like he pairs with them, and the chemistry is just insane. And it's no different for this project. And so recently, the project has resurfaced on. They kind of did like a relaunch because now it's on streaming, and they released like merch with it and all this other stuff. They kind of put all this extra funding back into the album and gave it a facelift essentially. And when you listen to it now, I promise you, outside of a few references here and there, you would not be able to tell that this project is over 10 years old. Because it has, and you walk into the fold of the album, right? And you have features on here from all these people that are still prominent today, with the exception of maybe one or two.
Prodigy.
Yeah. Rest in peace to Prodigy. But you got Freddie on here. You got Tyler, obviously. You got Earl. You got Action Bronson. You got Vince Staples, who's only managing to get better at this point in his career, taking his rapping more serious. And then obviously production was all handled by The Alchemist. Mm-hmm. When was your first listen to this album, and how did you feel?
My first listen to this album was 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. My girlfriend hit me up and was like, "Hey, have you listened to this new Domo Genesis project? It's all produced by Alchemist." And she said that she was in the house and it made her make ugly faces. Mm-hmm. The bars were so good. And I was like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yeah, like there's a song in here with like Prodigy. Like it must be like a verse that like Alchemist had." Mm-hmm. So like immediately I listened to it while I'm cooking dinner. Mm-hmm. And then like I go in a group chat like, "Yo, I heard Domo Genesis new project, mm-hmm. No Idols." And then like Danny's like, "Yo, I'm gonna check it out." And then Regg comes in and is like, "That album came out," and I mean that project came out in 2012, T. Yeah. And I'm like, "Nah, this is new. Like this shit don't sound like 2012." And then like I like went and like Wikipedia'd it, and I saw that it was a re-release, and I really enjoyed this project. It was a really good listen. Because Domo Genesis is like lower on the totem pole of the chopping block of Future. I just never really gave him like a shot. Yeah. Like him and Casey Veggies are very talented, but I just never thought to like dive into them. Like I had Tyler, I had Earl, and I had Frank. Like and I had Sid. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, all right, that's all I need, mm-hmm. So diving into this project, it kind of like gave me like a newfound respect for Domo, like because this project came out in 2012. I listened to it in 2023, and like I thought it was brand new. Yeah. So to me, like that tells you like, all right, this project stands the test of time. So it tells me that lyrically, like he is like should be like a well respected MC, mm-hmm. and that tells me that Alchemist is a fucking dog. Yeah. Yeah. Dog. When it comes to production, mm-hmm. like that's the epitome of timeless right there. So yeah, like that was my takeaway from it. I just started like living with this project 2 weeks ago, and I just said, "Yo, we should do this rapping order. Yeah, we should give it a listen and just dive into it." And
I couldn't jump faster at the opportunity because it's such an enjoyable listen. Like I said, outside of a few references here and there, like when you listen to some of Tyler's music on here or some of his wordplay and his lyrics on here, it's super dated. Like he makes references to he's like, "Oh, I'm rapping now." I think this is on the title track, No Idols. He says like, "Oh, I'm rapping now. If I don't make it before I'm 23, I'm 21 now. If I don't make it before I'm 23, I'm done," or whatever. And I'm like, all right, and then you hear how in his bag Tyler is now with rapping, and he doesn't have that same angst like how he does on this album.
Did you hear like what caused like the turnaround for him?
No.
He had
I think I did, but yeah, go ahead.
He said that he was having a conversation with Pharrell, and Pharrell was like, "Yo, like if you learn how to like actually like do song structure and like make a record, like you will be like amazing." So Tyler like got all these books. Mm-hmm. And like learned how to like make.
I did hear that
crossover records. Yeah. And like make and like song structure. Yeah. And like take things seriously. It's like Pharrell was like, "Yo, get rid of all that silly shit you be doing." Like, yeah. So people could take you seriously as a musician, because everything for Tyler was self-taught. Like he mm-hmm. was just like he is kind of like genius in the sense that like he was able to like recreate Neptune's beats off of listening or from ear.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Pharrell was just like, "Yo, like you're talented as hell. If you actually learn music, you'll be even better." Yeah. And Pharrell was right. Mm-hmm.
And I remember Tyler said something to the effect of, because I think we probably got this from the same place. Was it the Hulu doc that you watched?
Yes.
Yeah. So like in the Hulu doc, Tyler talked about, he was basically like, all right, people actually know me from being silly more than they do my music. He was like, all right, I got to stop that. Like, no more being silly, at least for like a year, while I just lock in and study up on this shit that I got to study up on. And it paid off because, and if you need any comparison or any proof of that, his verses on this album will give you the proof you need, because you listen to these verses on this album and then you listen to what he has now or what he's putting out now. The intent behind his music now is just completely different.
Right.
Like his voice, his structure, everything, his flow, he sounds a lot better. But in the fold of this album, like so we didn't know, you go into it not knowing much about Domo Genesis. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that was intentional? Like,
well, I gave Rolling Papers a shot, and I just wasn't. I wasn't a fan.
You gave it a shot back then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just didn't sell me. Like I was like, all right, Wiz Khalifa also has an album called Rolling Papers.
Yeah.
I guess I just went into it with doubt. And like I guess in 2012 I had so much music to get to. I didn't feel like Domo Genesis was somebody I needed to dive into. I'll be honest with you. That's a better response. I had so many other options in 2012 that I didn't have a chance to get to it. So I obviously, like, now, what is it? Like 11 years later, now, like, I've listened to everything. I listened to a lot of the music I want to listen to. So now I was actually able to listen to this like with an open mind and be like, oh shit, I missed out.
Yeah. And we won't get it all the time, right? But it's nice when we do, and especially when it's this old. Like, you go back to some shit and you listen, and it's like, damn. And then I thought about it too. Like, what the hell? What happened to Space Ghost Perk?
Yo, bro, like, he was beefing with Rocky and them, and like, it just seemed like, I think the masses chose ASAP Mob.
Well,
and I think, like, he just, like, because I know, like, he's still making music, and he still has, like, his cult following. But I just think that the masses chose ASAP Mob, and I think the industry chose ASAP Mob.
Yeah.
And he had, like, a lot of, like, outside problems, and I think, like, he just got pushed to the side, and like, now his voice is just smaller. Like, outlets don't pick up shit that he says. Like, like, there's been a few times where, like, him and Rocky will make up, or like then they will fall out and sub each other. But like, he's not even, like, on a bill for festivals.
Yeah, I don't see him at all. Like, when I saw his name on the Revisited this, I was like, oh shit, forgot all about him. I wonder how he's doing. But getting into this actual album, we've already mentioned some of the superstar, like the people that are still prominent today that are on this album, like Gibbs and Bronson and Tyler. What are some of your favorite takeaways from here?
Elimination Chamber.
Oof.
Obviously, I'm a huge wrestling fan, so immediately hearing Jim Ross's voice come over the track just caught my attention. And then me, I'm not sure if they have a video for this, but I just envisioned, like, the Elimination Chamber match, and each MC getting ready to come to the ring and, like, rap their verse. Mind you, Action Bronson killed everybody on this song.
Yes, he did.
I feel that way. Power Ballad.
I roll a joint like I'm a tumble.
Yeah, Power Ballad was my shit. Me and My Bitch, I enjoyed.
Oh, that's a very, very underrated weed song.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about that.
Yeah. The Daily News was dope. No Idols, the title track, actually, I think is the best track on the album. And Drugs Got Me Spiritual, featuring Remy Banks. Shout out to Remy Banks.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed that one.
I like that one a lot. Drugs Got Me Spiritual is very it has this like real old school feel to it. Old school, but like new school feel in a sense. That's why, like, I pictured I could hear Joey Badass on here because the production alone. I could hear Nas on here to kind of tie in that old school, that old school feel. Yeah, that was a great way to close this out. And it's a re-release track because it wasn't on the original. Yeah, that one is a re-release track.
Okay.
Yeah, and it sounds incredible. And I think the ones that you named, I really like. Fuck Everybody Else, which is the second track, hard.
Okay. Yes, it is.
OD. Like, I really like that one. All Alone, the sample grunts that sound like they straight out of a kung fu movie is really good. The transparency is great. advancing my position. He said, advancing my position feel like a solo competition. I thought that was a dope bar, and you can just tell there. Like when you listen to the flow of this album, it sounds like he has a lot of built up aggression or actually like frustration because of how his first project was received and his place in Odd Future. I think was probably something that really fucked with him too.
Right.
Because
that's something that's going to happen though.
Yeah.
Like, if anybody knows like the history of like Wu-Tang or the Dungeon Family, like that happens. Like there's going to be like 4 of y'all that's going to get like pulled up. And then the rest of y'all gonna fall by the wayside because the cycle's gonna overlap you. Because you know what I'm saying, like it's like, all right, those 4 people gonna come out and get their projects and get all the fan love and everything like that. And then next thing you know, it's gonna be a demand for the group project again. And then it's like, when is my solo project? And it's like pretty much everybody. If you look at collectives, like outside of the Dungeon Family actually did pretty well.
Yeah.
Right, but like if you look at the Odd Future and Wu-Tang, it's kind of similar. They have one oddball producer that brings like these gang of like motley crew of misfits together, and they're all talented and like bring all of these different like elements of creativity to the table.
Yeah.
And things just just go off the rails.
It's Till the Angels Come. It's crazy. That's the one that features Freddie and Prodigy. It's crazy how current that sounds.
Yo.
Freddie Gibbs sounds exactly the same.
Yeah, he does. And again, like I never knew that I needed to hear Freddie Gibbs and Prodigy on the track together.
Yeah.
That's actually, I forgot. I don't know. I skipped that one, but shit, that's one of my favorite tracks as well.
I think there's something about Prodigy where, I mean, not Prodigy, but there's something about Alchemist and his relationship with these rappers that really is important to the albums that he makes, because that's the only reason we have Gibbs and Prodigy on this album together. Is because of their relationship individually with Alchemist. And it's just important because, around this time, Alk was actually this is when he started his run of doing collab projects. So like, I think 2010 with Covert Coupe, with Currency. That was like one of the first ones that he was like, yo, let's do this together. And I think Rare Chandeliers came out after this project, and that's with him and Action Bronson. So it's like you can tell who his friends are. Yeah. And I think that's the authenticity of of the rollouts.
Him and Prodigy's relationship.
Yeah, him and Prodigy, their relationship. Like he makes sure that people never forget about his relationship with Prodigy, and that's really important.
I think that's dope.
Is there anything that didn't work for you on here?
I'll be honest with you, not really. If I'm nitpicky, I think it was The Feeling, the second to last song of the project, right? But honestly, like, nah, like this, I was like, this was a very pleasant surprise to me, listeners and watchers. Hearing this project, like, I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna have a hard time with this rating because I don't even know how to approach this rating. Yeah. Because like it didn't reinvent the wheel, it just was a really good listen.
It's just a great listen,
and it's a good project, and it made it like. I knew that Domo Genesis could rap, but I just there's a lot of rappers that can rap that you don't pay any mind to, or you just feel like there's no significance. Yeah. And this project proved me wrong, so I got to reevaluate my fandom of this young man.
I wonder if this means there's a resurgence for him that's about to happen. I think because he's been quiet. Yeah. There's you don't just relaunch a project like this from over 10 years ago without there being a follow-up plan. I agree. So I want to see what follows up. I want to see what they're going to do after this, because not only did they relaunch this project, they put merch with it. So at the very least, there's going to be a show or something that comes out to follow this up. But yeah, I'm with you. I was very pleasantly surprised when you look at the Odd Future fold, to be honest. The people that we see all the time, they just stick out like sore thumbs. Like they just pop out. Like to think Odd Future, and you think Sid and You know, you got Taco. Taco is on Dave.
Yeah, he's on Dave.
You know, he's an actor now.
He was in that movie with Jonah Hill and Lauren London.
Yeah, and playing Eddie Murphy's son. Like he's
seeing Taco be mature is crazy.
Yeah, he's not. He don't even go by Taco anymore. He go by his real name.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, this was I was very, very surprised, very pleasantly. This was a very pleasant listen. Nothing like how I remembered it. Maybe because in that time frame, it just didn't stick out that much. Like it was great, but it didn't stick out that much because we had a lot of music like it. But then, what stands out about it so much is that it's over 10 years old. Like I can't get over that. You know,
that bugged me out.
Earl also stands out to me that Earl doesn't rap like this anymore. He don't rap like this.
I miss Lil Caesar Earl.
Yeah. He don't rap like this
Earl,
no more.
Yeah, Dread Earl a little different.
He's different. I mean, I always give Earl a listen. I'm not the biggest fan of Earl, but I always give him a listen just based off of when he had the Lil Caesar. Yeah. Like I still listen to him. But he sounds amazing on here, and I think you can even tell when you hear him on songs back then, the kind of stock that they were putting into him. Because it was still like very much like, oh, free Earl. That's when he was like, nobody knew where he was.
Yeah. His mom just sent him to like a camp.
Yeah. And there was like, yeah, free Earl, whatever. And but him as an MC online was like a tall tale. Like everybody talked about how nice he was. So even when you listen to him on this project, like you get that. You kind of feel his significance.
You remember Tyler said that Earl is better than Illmatic?
Yeah.
And
see?
that
with
caught
shit
my
like
attention.
that.
Yeah, that caught my attention. Tyler gave an explanation why he would say that. He was like, he said 1994, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. He said, I know what I'm doing now, so I can just say that. And the reason why it was aligned was because Earl Sweatshirt made Earl when he was 17. Nas made Illmatic when he was 17. So that was a comparison, ladies and gentlemen, just for reference. So he was saying that Earl at 17 is a better rapper than Nas when he was 17. So that's what Tyler's his what his stance was.
Yeah,
and people were upset.
Yeah, of course they would be. But that's kind of what. That's what our future is like. Money was like they live with that frustration of making older people upset.
You know what's interesting to me about that? When you break down lyrics from rappers around 94 and 95, right? Like we talked about this on Ready to Die. Like it was like shock value. So like Nas, Biggie, and Big L all had like these like really crazy like out there verses. Like there was a verse about like when I was 12, I went to hell for slapping Jesus. I stabbed my teacher in the face with a number 2 pencil. Like these like very like gory shock value verses, right? And like that's pretty much what Our Future does. But it's just that like these dudes were like street dudes on the corner, but the Our Future kids were like skaters.
Yeah.
And like hipsters and shit.
I think also what plays into it though was that they were at the forefront of internet culture. Yeah. So it's like you saying these shock value things and trolling was like not as much of a thing as it was when they started when they were doing it.
It's just, I guess to me, like I think that people don't take into account that like Nas, Biggie, and Big L and those guys, when they first came out, they were all teenagers as well. It's just that their lifestyles were a little bit different because like they had to grow up a lot faster. They even look more mature. Yeah. Like when people told me that Nas was 17 when he made Illmatic, and you look at Nas, he doesn't look 17. Yeah. Like Nas is like a handsome man, and like he doesn't look older. Like he doesn't look like he doesn't look like a kid when he was 17, right? But like when you look at Our Future, like they look like children.
They look like kids.
They look like they're in high school.
Yeah.
So I guess like that's also the difference. But like, you know, I think like when the comparisons are made, like some people just feel like, oh, this is blasphemy. But like rappers were around the same age as these guys at the same time, and that's just like when we hear the stories about Big Punch taking a super soaker around New York City and spraying people with water guns. Yeah, like they were pranksters and stuff like that too. Just that the internet didn't exist.
Exactly. That's actually the key. That's key, and that's exactly why. And I think they used that to like they saw how upset it got people. Like they saw the level that Eminem was doing it, but Eminem wasn't using the internet to do it. Yeah, he would just do it. You know, like he would use TRL would be his outlet to do those type of things. Like MTV would be his outlet to do those things. And Tyler and all of these guys, they were hopping on blogs. They were at they were actually active. They were visible in New York. Like they would go to different places in LA and everywhere. They would actually hit the streets and do these things. And that's what made them more captivating and more interesting in that way.
Remember that tweet that Tyler put out where he was like, how the fuck am I fucking with your self-esteem? Just turn off the computer.
Oh, yeah, turn the computer off. Yeah. It's your computer. Like, yeah, it was a cyberbully. He was like, I'm not a cyberbully. Like, turn your computer off. You stupid. Go outside. Like, and it seems so simple, but
it's not funny. It's not funny.
It's just, I mean, it is what it is. But, don't want to hear you rate this album. You've been thinking about it, or is there anything else you want to get to?
Nah, I can't. I give this project 3.5 waffles out of 5.
Wow.
What?
Okay, continue.
Like I said, to me, this album is brand new. Mm-hmm. So, like, only thing that I can really say to you is that, like, all right, this album came out 11 years ago. It's absolutely stood the test of time, right? But I'm just like, something's missing here. And maybe it's because it doesn't get the acclaim.
Okay.
And, like, maybe, like, this re-release will help that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, something's missing here where, like, it went and everybody missed it. Like, it can't be me. Like, and, like, maybe, like, it's just a good listen. And some projects are just good listens. That doesn't mean, like, it has to be, like, some, like, you know what I'm saying, the recreation of the wheel or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because if I think back to projects that came out in 2012, it wasn't, like, and I really have to think about this. I wouldn't put it in like the top 10 of 20. I put it in the top 20 of 2012 releases.
Okay.
Like.
Okay. Do you enjoy this project more than Habits and Contradictions, Schoolboy Q?
No.
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of projects that came out. You know, you got Good Kid, you got Life is Good, Habits and Contradictions, Schoolboy Q.
Rap Music by Killer Mike. You know how much I love that project.
Yeah. Forever and a Day, Big Crit. That was a big project for me.
Forever and a Day by Big Crit. Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill. Rich Forever by Rick Ross came out that year. Mm-hmm. Babyface Killer by Freddie Gibbs came out that year. Based on a True Story by 2 Chainz came out that year. Mm-hmm. Shit, T.I.'s Trouble Man. Joey Badass's 1999 came out that year. What else do we have? Oh, God Forgives and I Don't came out by Ross that year. Yeah, that's right, because Rich Forever should have been the album.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, man, like Future put out his debut album Pluto that year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it like Self-Made 2 came out that year by MMG.
This is better than Self-Made 2.
This is okay, cool.
Yeah,
I was just okay. Still yeah. What I'm just saying is that like if I had to rank it for those albums, I would say it's number 11 out of 10 for me from those projects that came out in 2012. That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, Chief Keef Finally Rich came out that year too.
Woo! And that was my shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's really refreshing that it's cool when reissues work like this, because I think that's the intent of reissues. It's to get new fans, it's to kind of perk ears up and get some introduce people to some shit that they might have missed. Mm-hmm. The fact that this sounds so new and fresh 11 years later, it speaks to the music. I think back then, a lot of things got to be factored in. One, he's not the marquee player for Odd Future and never was.
Right.
He got a lot, he has a lot of people at the forefront. You got Tyler, Frank Ocean. Like it's fucking Frank Ocean, I
have one other thing to say.
What's up?
I realized something. I have to fix this. 4 out of 5 waffles, ladies and gentlemen. First time I've ever retracted my rating. Right? Also, he is the Jizza of Odd Future.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm good with that. Of Odd Future.
Yeah. 4 out of 5 is actually what I was gonna give it.
Okay. I had to fix it. I really thought about it. I was like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. I'm basically being a gatekeeper here. What the fuck? And I had to fix that.
Yeah, so I'm comfortable with giving this a 4 out of 5. It checks off everything for me. It checks off everything. It sounds new. It's refreshing to hear him rap like this. This is everything. It encompasses everything that we go into a revisit hoping for.
Yes.
On Rap in Order. We go into it looking to see how some shit holds up, looking to see the faults, whatever, looking to pick shit apart and just get to the meat and potatoes and see what's good and what's not. And with this is a pleasant surprise because it holds up 11 years later. It makes me excited to see what comes for Domo Genesis in 2023. Because I know there has to be a follow-up plan. You know, I'm already an Alchemist fanatic. So whatever he's going to put, it looks like they're actually putting new stock into this. And I think this is the time for Domo Genesis to shine and to get new eyes and ears because, you know, our future is a thing of legend now. Mm-hmm. You know, it's actually cool that he came from the fold of that, and now he can speak to his own legacy and carve out his own, you know, legacy.
Yeah.
So I'm cool. I'm cool with giving this a 4 out of 5. I highly recommend revisiting this album. It is such a good listen on all fronts. All the features are great. You know, subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you think of this album. I'm First Class Reg.
I'm Taurian B.
We out of here.
Catch you guys next time.
See who we got on the stand. These are their stories.
Dun dun.